I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. Revelations chapter 15 and verse 2. The Megaeus Absurdus translation is, and I saw, as it were, a glassy sea mingled with fire, and them that came off victorious from the wild beast and from his image and from the number of his name, standing by on the shore of the glass sea, having harps of God. Darrell underscores this. A glassy sea mingled with fire represents the frightful persecution by the beast during the Great Tribulation period. Darrell continues underscoring here this is the period of time, as we have seen, where no man could buy or sell unless he had the mark of the beast. And he finishes underscoring here it is going to be very difficult to get things to eat in that day. That is the reason the Lord Jesus, speaking of this period in his Olivet discourse, said that whoever would give a cup of cold water in his name would not lose his reward. You see, anyone in that day who would give even a cup of cold water to one of the 144,000 would put his life in jeopardy because the beast would put him to death for harboring what he would classify as a criminal. Those those will be difficult days. Again, I ask the question, will anyone make it through the Great Tribulation? No, they won't unless they are sealed, although multitudes will be martyred during the period. And I think that a great many of the 144,000 will lay down their lives for Jesus. They will be faithful to him unto death. As we have seen, all the 144,000 will be with the Lamb on Mount Zion, and them that came off victorious. And Darrell has this underscored. Here are the tribulation saints who have come through the fires of persecution on the earth and yet have not lost their song. And Darrell continues underscoring here they have the harps of God. And in the next couple of verses, we will see that they are able to sing, and they do sing. How about us today, Christian friend? Daryl has this underscored. We are not in the great tribulation now and never will be. But even in these days, are you having trouble keeping from your heart just a little root of bitterness? We are warned against this in Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 15 because it is so easy for it to happen. Remember, this has no application to you, but it does have an application to me. When I was in my teens, I came to know the Lord, and at 17 or 18, made my decision to study for the ministry. I accepted I expected the Christians to support me in my decision. One wealthy family in Nashville actually turned against me. I was dating their daughter at the time, and they didn't want a poor preacher in the family. A teenage boy feels these things most keenly, I guess, but even to this day, I have to fight that little root of bitterness against that class of people who treated me so badly at that time. Now, that wasn't tribulation at all, it was a heartbreak, but it was not the a great tribulation by any means. What about that little root of bitterness? Are you having a problem with it? I meet people, Christian people, who have let that little root of bitterness spoil their lives to the point that it actually causes them to deteriorate in their Christian life and testimony. I know of a lovely Christian family back east. Something happened that caused them to become very bitter toward another family, and they refused to let it go. That root of bitterness has entered into their lives. I have seen the families sitting in church on Sunday without a smile on one of the faces. Bitterness can ruin our Christian life. We need to pray in the face of life's circumstances that there will be no root of bitterness within us. And Daryl has this underscored. It is remarkable to see that this tribulation saints, that these tribulation saints who have lived through the horror of the great tribulation have kept their song. Let me share a poem with you. And before I do, I want to point out to you, they, whenever they went into captivity in Babylon, they hung their harps upon the willow trees, I think it was. And here they are going to have their harps once again, as we read here, having the harps of God. So they're going to sing their songs again, be able to sing their songs again. Let me share a poem on prayer with you. It was sent to me by one of our radio listeners, and unanswered yet. Faith cannot be unanswered. Her feet were firmly planted on the rock. Amid the wildest storm, she stands undaunted. Nor quails before the loudest thunder shock. She knows omnipotence has heard her prayer and cries, "It shall be done sometime, somewhere." Unanswered yet. Nay, do not say ungranted. Perhaps your part is not yet wholly done. The work began when your first prayer was uttered, and God will finish what He has begun. If you will keep the incense burning there, His glory you will see sometime, somewhere. This is Sometime, Somewhere by Ophelia uh, Guian Browning. My friend, in this life which you and I are living down here, a little bitterness will come in. What will we do about it? We need to pray. In fact, we need to pray about this more than anything else. If these saints can come through the great tribulation and still sing, you and I certainly ought to have a song in our hearts, regardless of our circumstances. The psalmist wrote, and Daryl has this underscored, for his anger endureth but a moment, in his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Psalms 30 and verse 5. I love that psalm. I have learned over the years that God will never let anyone cross your path, not even an enemy, unless it will teach you a lesson. He permits it for a purpose, for the development of our character. We need to be in prayer that we not fall into the trap of Satan and lose the joy of our salvation. And that